We're now joined via Teams by Dr Jane Mufamadi, Dr Jane Mufamadi, CEO of Freedom Park. Dr Mufamadi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, let's firstly get your reaction and just your thoughts, about the death of the legendary Dr Magubane. It wasn't too long ago when he was honored last year in Freedom Park at the Living Legends. Just talk to us about your thoughts.
Thank you for affording us this opportunity. And obviously, firstly, we want to convey our condolences, not just to the family, but to the rest of South Africans. They say when a legend like Dr. Magubane dies, it's almost like a library has died. And indeed, we did honor him last year as part of our Fantuka Af series, which is an initiative of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. And the purpose really was to acknowledge his contribution in many ways, obviously as a photojournalist, but also as an author in his own right, because he had published a lot, and not just about the liberation struggle of South Africa, but also about the issues around culture and indigenous knowledge systems. So when we hosted him with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, it was really, as the Deputy Minister will say, to give him his flowers while he can still smell them.
And I want to talk about that, just how you've just described him in terms of, it is like a library has died. I mean, many have described him as a masterful storyteller and, of course, a lensman who fearlessly documented apartheid's injustices. I mean, the role of storytelling is no doubt essential, especially now, that the country will be marking 30 years of its freedom. How then do we ensure that the legacy of Dr. Magubane and many of his stature lives on?
In his context in particular, when we were engaging with him at some point, and it's a point that I've heard he has repeated many times, the power of the lens. And he actually indicated that during the 1976 uprising, the students were refusing to be photographed, for pictures to be taken. And he engaged them to say, this picture will tell a story, not just now, not just today, but forever. And I think the preservation of those photographs that he have taken, but of course, we will ensure as entities of government like the Freedom Park, whose mandate is to honor those who fought for freedom and humanity, we will ensure that his legacy lives on through the preservation of his various works, but also through the inscription of his name on the wall of names, because there is no doubt that a person of Dr. Magubane's caliber deserves to be honored in the wall. And the many lessons that we have learned, we just hope that the younger generations, like last year when we had that session, the exhibition on his life and times and his works, which was an intergenerational occasion where we brought in young people and students, but also other legends like himself. We hope that we will remember, we will draw lessons. For example, when he spoke about the vanishing cultures of South Africa, where he documented the 10 cultures, art, culture, religion, spirituality across the various traditions in South Africa. That is a legacy that lives on. But if you go through that publication, you really understand who we are as a people. And you also see him as a person, while he's internationally acclaimed, he was still rooted in his Africanness, in his own culture and heritage. And we hope that through the lives and through living what he really was passionate about, it's the honor and preservation that we can do, other than the exhibitions that we'll continue to do as a nation, other than the inscription, to make sure that even the future generation will know about a person of Dr. Magubane.
And it's perhaps, that foresight from him when he finally did put down his lens, well, probably not long enough, but when he decided then to venture into exhibiting his work, that was a telling sign of how important we need to document our history, particularly as Black South Africans, coming from the dark past and the dark history that we have. For you personally, what are some of the the things that you will remember him for? I mean, what stood out for you? I mean, I can tell you as we are reading through his history and how, the first day he got handed over a Kodak camera in his hand as a schoolboy, he never put it down. He was, very relentless in terms of making sure that he documents what happens, in South Africa. And from a young schoolboy, then going to be, honored as receiving honorary doctorates 9 different times and receiving multi awards, internationally and here at home. That's a remarkable story that we need to tell. What for you stood out?
I think for me, his bravery and his sense of selflessness. For him, it was especially documenting about apartheid. And it was not just documenting. For him, he wanted to fight apartheid. He wanted the world to know what South Africa was going through. I remember in one of the interviews again when he indicated that he did not want to kill anyone. He wanted to kill apartheid. I think that for me was a very profound statement in terms of what his purpose and objective was. But he also indicated that on several occasions when he was taking pictures, he will see people hurt or people dead. He will stop taking pictures and help those who were hurt, maybe transport them to hospitals or maybe the dead, taking them to the morgue and so forth. The passion and the dedication and the bravery. We're talking about somebody who stayed for 586 days in solitary confinement. But even after that, he did not stop. He says when he was banished for 5 years and he was banned for taking photographs, he felt like he was a ghost. He felt like he was dead at the time. But that did not stop him from continuing. But what is remarkable about it is that beyond apartheid, he continued to teach the younger generations the sense of passion. And he remained, and for me, this is I think, a special and warm remembrance of him, that he remained rooted in his identity. He remained a proud South African, and he used to urge the younger generations to know who they are. This is a person who internationally, the world over, was known, but he didn't forget his roots. And for me, that is what grounded him, that is what sustained him, and that is what I will personally remember him for.